We're going to start indeed with the Irish Independent today. Kerry Dublin Stars facing Bands after Tralee Melee. I mean, it's got to be up there straight off the bat for a tab of the morning to you. Obiuglake and Small hit with proposed suspensions following ugly post-match row, writes Colin Keys here. It's a story that's covered in a lot of the papers this morning, and I've watched back a lot of this footage of the melee at the end of the Schmozzle skirmish at the end of the game to try and establish exactly what blame John Small or Brino Obiuglake had in this entire thing. And it's very difficult to tell. I know that the CCC would have been operating with different angles and wider angles and more footage. It's very difficult to tell who's actually at blame for this thing.
Well, it's very hard to pick somebody to blame from what we actually saw on RTE/Air last weekend. So the director clearly had a shot of what was going on and then cut to it after a moment or two. So you actually miss the vital moment of what started. So we can't see it, but there was a camera on that, you'd assume, or even just the overhanging camera that kind of goes behind the goals would have some view of what actually sparked this whole thing. So you have to trust that they've got the two correct parties there. I can't really say. I haven't even watched the game back yet, and I kind of missed the start of it as well, being there live. But certainly just watching that incident back this morning, you can't tell from your armchair what happened there, but you'd like to think that the CCC have actually got the original raw camera footage from that particular camera, or cameras, and have come up with the correct decision. So John Small has obviously got a 2-game ban because it's the second infraction in the space of 48 weeks. Brino Obiuglake, it's his first infraction, so he's going to miss 1 game, which is the Galway game. It
was some sort of an attempted kick. It seems like one of the papers has this morning that was his infraction. Like, as I said, it was just almost, it was impossible to tell. There was one interesting little sort of wrinkle to it just after the melee kind of had broadly broken up and now Scully's walking across the pitch, and one of the it seems like he's one of the Kerry backroom staff. Can't absolutely say that for certain, but looked like it was one of the Kerry backroom staff. Was kind of walking through a bunch of people and sort of had walked around the corner and sort of brushed shoulders with Scully, who took exception to this and pushes the guy back, and there's a little bit of over and back about it. I don't know. It all seemed to me to be, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, relatively harmless, actually.
I completely agree. Completely agree that it was just an enhanced schmozzle. There was, like, kicking is a fairly serious charge, actually. I'd like to actually...
It was, and I haven't got the right expression, actually, because it was in the, I think it was in the Examiner this morning, and we will dig it out and we will bring clarity to that. But it was on the mild end of it. It certainly wasn't suggesting a full-on swinging kick. It was, I'm going to kick you, and then at the last minute I've sort of withdrawn the effort.
It seemed that would kind of sum up the schmozzle perfectly, that a headlock was perhaps the worst thing that anybody endured throughout the course of this.
A bit of a hard nuggie or whatever.
Exactly, a nuggie. Like that's about
the official terminology for it.
Kicking the shin or something like that is probably as bad as it got. It was just the amount of people that made it look bad, and it was a bit different to sort of some of the violence we've seen on GAA pitches over the past couple of months, which, to be fair, if it was, we would be saying that it was a terrible sight to see, but I don't think it marred the game. I don't think it had any effect on the spectacle or what people were left with. As I was saying earlier in the week, it's like Dublin are so unused to actually having a good old game that their adrenaline had to be channeled somewhere. Yeah. And Kerry are, like, I think everybody was just so unused to good Gaelic football.
Do you know what? Actually, looking at it at the end, the cameras at the end were on Michael Darmacaulay and whoever was beside him as the game wrapped up, and it was 5 minutes of added time. Fenton had just missed a long-range point effort. It's just slipped a little bit wide. And it struck me that, so you're at that heightened point of tension as a player where every sinew of your being is trying to win the ball back and trying to get it over the bar, and then suddenly in a split second it's over. So the bubble is burst, it's all done, there's nothing I can do now, and it must be very difficult to get from that high to back to a level of normality where you're in a position to say to your opponent, listen, well done, thanks very much, great game. Like, there is a heightened, like, it's the thing that we see in post-match interviews all the time where players come up and they're like emotional or more giving than they would normally be, and I'm not surprised what I'm saying, that it's a fraught situation because of the heightened sense of emotions of players.
And heightened further by the fact, as I say, that they haven't actually been in that situation too much over the last year or so. Dublin haven't been in that situation once in the last 12 months. Once, but like once or twice maybe when they got beaten in the league last year. Yeah. But really, over the course of an entire championship,
it's Dublin's fault then, is what you're saying.
Not at all.
It's all Dublin are to blame here.
They basically had 10 minutes to cool down at the end of each championship game they played last year. And I know they'll say that they kept the foot to the pedal for all of those games.
Yeah, but you just don't.
But really, that Galway
it's not the same. Look, no matter what you say, it isn't the same dynamic as trying to get a point in the last play of the game.
For sure. And also in kind of a cauldron where their fans are at best finding parity, let alone overpowering the opposition fans, and the noise is kind of against you. Like everything we're talking about here, by the way, is just such a great moment for Dublin. As in, this is the thing that's going to kick them on further. That the beast has not been created. The beast is already there, but the beast is being poked a small bit.
Well, I mean, I think you're also poking the beast.
Like, well, I'm not really. I'm just kind of giving facts here, to be honest. I think, as I say, the beast is there already.
For kicking with minimal force, John Fogarty and Michael Moynihan reporting.
I've never actually heard that charge handed out before, kicking with minimal force. So was it like a little toe poke?
I kind of think it was like, oh, I'm going to kick
Side
you
foot.
right in the thigh, and then at the last second, no, it's not better that because I'm going to get a ban. I'm going to get banned for it.
Maybe a Dublin man was holding onto his foot and he just shook him off. Is that kicking with minimal force?
That is the Irish Independent this morning. Also, shot there of Aaron Gallan, who shot the lights out by all accounts in Ennis last night in the Fitzgibbon Cup for Mary Eyes. They went through to the final at NUIG's expense, 1-12. Aaron Gallan scored, and he's there with his manager Jamie Wall after the game last night. Cost of United sackings since Fergie exit reaches €38 million. Writes Chris Bascom here as well. I mean, the vast majority of that money has gone to Jose Mourinho. He, of that, in the euro sense, has picked up 22 million of that 38. Like, other than that, that's the kind of figure that really jumps out. Mourinho gets 22 million of 38. Actually, the other payoffs post Fergie, kind of reasonable enough. Like, it's 16 million over actually what turns out to be, I mean, it must be at least 4 managers.
Yeah.
On top, maybe 5 including Mourinho. It's not actually, what I'm saying is 16 million over that number of managers is not a huge amount of money.
Sorry, this is everyone post.
Post
So you're including Giggs, you're including Moyes, you're including Van Gaal.
I don't know, would Giggs have been paid off? Probably
Well,
not.
it's only 2 really then in Moyes and
that's fair
Van Gaal.
actually, yeah.
Prior to Jose. It's a massive amount of money.
8 million. So they get 8 million each, and I mean, broadly, and Mourinho gets 22 million quid.
It's remarkable. Like George Mendes has clearly brokered an incredible deal for him there when he put pen to paper for Manchester United. I guess from a United perspective, they may never have thought that they would have been in that situation of sacking him at that point. But then again, he did put down 2 seasons. I don't know. It's
well, yeah. Do you know what?
Is it rewarding? Is this like the biggest rewarding a failure that we've seen?
He's what was the expression about Wenger?
An expert in failure.
I mean, you could class him as an expert in failure given the amount of money he's made out of it. But like some of the pieces that I've listened to of Mourinho in his final days as United manager that I've happened to hear over the last few days, you almost start to think that he was trying to actually get them to sack him.
To get 22 million euros, you're saying that Jose Mourinho would actually want that money? We surely can't be saying that Jose Mourinho was trying to get himself sacked for that sort of money.
The Irish Examiner this morning, seasoned campaigner, because I'm nearing the end, everything is more intense, says the Cork player Bennett here. This is Liam Mackey who's writing. There's a pretty extensive League of Ireland preview in the Irish Examiner this morning, and a very long piece here with Alan Bennett, 37-year-old. That's the Irish Examiner this morning. And also Ronan O'Gara's thoughts ahead of his return to Super Rugby this weekend. We'll be picking those up with him in a little bit. Alan Quinn will be joining us in studio as well for all of that. That's the Irish Examiner this morning. The Times Ireland edition, Mourinho gets 15 million payoff, is the headline there. Chelsea back on track as Arsenal stuttered, is the photograph from last night's Europa League action. Warnock's son under scrutiny is another story here. Cardiff City accused of breaching FA rules regarding intermediaries because of their extensive use of an agency who employed James Warnock, who's son of the club's manager Neil Warnock. Is that piece there? You do hear that from time to time. Alex Ferguson was another one who was in that boat at one stage of his career, who I think successfully defended any allegations of wrongdoing against him and his son as well. And Ian Henderson looks to be back in for the Irish rugby team as well, as the other story there. Finally for me for the minute, it's the Irish Times. Badly needed victory eases the pressure on Sarri and Chelsea. I mean, does it really? Chelsea winning 2-1 at Malmo last night. Does it really ease the pressure on them? In a lot of ways you kind of think that it does.
I'd say Roman Abramovich doesn't know what the Europa League is.
Well, exactly. We've just been describing this tournament as a bit of a secondary tournament. I can't imagine Chelsea or their fans are overly enamoured about it one way or the other. Celtic beaten 2-0 at home against Valencia, so it's off to the Mestalla for the return leg, and they're 2-0 down, and Arsenal slip with Lacazette denied goal and sent off. That's the Irish Times this morning.
Back page of the Irish Daily Mail goes with humiliation, and a picture there of Alexandre Lacazette with two hands kind of cradling his face after he got sent off last night for a fairly stupid swinging of the arm on a Bate Borisov player. They've lost 1-0 last night. Son lands bumper new deal at Spurs as well, says the back of the Irish Daily Mail. So he got a pay rise last year to up to around £110,000 a week, and now he's looking to go up to around £150,000 a week, closer to Dele Alli level. So he's been in unbelievable form.
He's worth it, isn't he? Because he surely will be attracting interest from some of the bigger clubs as well if there was any sense that he might be in a position to leave that club.
For sure. Heung-min Son has become the most highly rated, underrated player currently playing in the Premier League.
Hipster's choice.
Hipster's choice, except now hipsters are ditching him because everybody is talking about him. Also an interesting one here by Philip Lanigan on the back of the Irish Daily Mail. Curfin denies spying on rivals Guidor. So Kevin Cassidy's been stirring the pot this week. He says, we came to Dublin to play St. Bridget's in a challenge match, and they had 2 or 3 cameras there filming the game. They have everything tied down. That's why they're at the top, because they leave nothing to chance. But then the Curragh chairman has come out to deny this. Michael Ryder has said, any neutral is entitled to go to a match, but we had no one picked to go there. We didn't even know they were playing. We heard about it after, all right, but no, we don't go there. So no spying going on. So Guidor not falling victim to Marcelo Bielsa-esque tactic.
It wasn't just even one camera, it was like a 3-camera setup. There's nothing subtle about that.
Just a vision mixer there, like mixing everything from a Curragh perspective is what they had. Like at least Guidor kind of know what it's like, because of course Donegal are experts in the old spying game.
It always comes back to the little bit of a Kerry angle.
Well, you know, it didn't work out for them in the end, did it?
A tree that's been since chopped down, in case anybody missed that when we spoke about it a couple of weeks ago. Will a week go by where we won't mention Donegal spying on Kerry? I don't think so.
No, every week.
Long may it last.
If you can make it happen every day, that would be my ideal situation. Back page of the Herald is small worry for Jim. Dubstar and Kerry player hit with bans from Tralee in Tralee. Also gone with the rhyming slang there. Like the John Small thing, like they say, small worry for Jim. Like it is a bit of a worry, just a little bit of a worry, because from my mind, John Small was playing really well last Saturday night, flying, and I think when you're in that position where a lot of players are coming back from pre-season, everybody who's hit the ground running is vitally important. You look at someone like James McCarthy as well, in the same sort of realm as John Small, as somebody who's hit this league in very, very good form. They play Mayo next. If they get beaten by Mayo, it's kind of curtains on their league final preparations, or on their league final hopes, I should say, because I would say that Jim Gavin probably wants another crack at the league final, does he?
I'd say
he gave him the option.
They could be relegated.
I'm not saying relegation. I'm still very much keeping Dublin in the league final picture here.
All right.
Because they are Dublin, and there's every chance they just go and win the rest of their games.
Yeah, we'll see.
If they win the rest of their games, they probably make the league final.
Yeah, I mean, they surely will, but
because Kerry and Mayo will slip up at further.
Any word on Cluxton?
Cluxton, it hasn't been said yet, but you presume he's going to come back very shortly. I just don't know what the situation is with Stephen Cluxton.
Just hasn't played yet.
Just hasn't played yet, is right. Back page of the Mirror is the price of failure. Mourinho pocketed £15 million payoff from United despite being axed as season fell apart. And the back of the Star shows Brendan Rodgers and Scott Brown, boys facing Europa exit. They were beaten 2-0 by Valencia at home last night. And you've also got that Kerry and Dublin story, banned, Small and Obiogliach facing suspension. And you've also got that Jose story. Plenty of League of Ireland preview as well. A 12-page pullout in the Irish Daily Star this morning. Back of the Sun then is Red Mist. Pog thumped Locker in rage at sending off, and Ole gave Stars the hairdryer over Euro flop, I should say. It's an exclusive by Neil Custis and Richard Moriarty in the Sun this morning. An angry dressing room apparently after the Paris Saint-Germain defeat. Pogba punched the Locker. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer shouted at his players. Incredible scenes from a defeated dressing room. And JT held enough for Rice. So this is another exclusive. Declan Rice chose to play for England after seeking out the advice of John Terry. West Ham star turned his back on Ireland and asked FIFA let him switch, etc., etc. And the key to the move was John Terry. I'm trying to find the actual quote here. Even if I turn to page 48, I'm sure I'll be able to stumble upon a quote. But actually, there isn't any quotes about this. But I'm sure John Terry did have a word with him. A vital character, perhaps, in how Declan Rice views modern English centre-backs, because of course he is one of them now, isn't he? He's an English centre-back. It kind of feels hard to actually say that at this point. Declan Rice is of that ilk. So.
Yeah, it's the John Terry friendship is something that's been spoken of for a while, and I certainly at some point or another remember reading something that I thought, there's not a friendship here. It's just that they've been they're acquainted with each other and there's some infrequent contact. But I mean, we were always onto a bit of a loser, to be fair, if he was going to ring John Terry and say, what should I do, pal? Weren't we?
Yeah.
Do you know what, Declan? The best thing for you, I think, would be to declare for the Republic of Ireland.
Could have rang Richard Dunn as well.
Unlikely.
Back page of the Racing Post is aiming high. Watford can stay on course for first final since 1984. They're up against Queen's Park Rangers tonight in the FA Cup. It kicks off at 7:45. And the back page of the Guardian then finally is a picture of Olivier Giroud and Ross Barkley as they won in the Europa League last night. Europa gain and pain then is the headline beside that, because they talk about Arsenal getting beaten in Belarus to Bate Borisov, and the £20 million farewell as well. Across most of the back pages today, Jose Mourinho is a rich man.